Hello, my name is Arthur. In the last video we got our little project here to the point where we could save a file to disk, and I've made some changes since then, and this video, instead of typing out text and debugging, we're just going to review the changes to the script and the new function added. And it was a little bit painful getting it in place because I had to figure things out so it wouldn't make for great viewing. This way we'll go a little bit faster. So one of the things that I've done, and it's small, is I've changed the edit buttons. So I've updated how many items are in the edit submenu to 6, and I've put undo and redo into that, even though I really don't have any idea how to make those work yet. So just a small menu change. So what I've done is I've actually gotten all of the buttons for file are now working, and working the way that they should, as well as the close the application button is doing what it should do. So in the last video we did the write file function and a few changes to get it working, and I was left off with some rather long lines, so I've put in some variables, a couple of char variables to hold the buffer file and the address. Well, the file was already there. I just declared it and then initialized it on another line to shorten it up. The same with address. I decided to make it into a variable to shorten up this statement so that it didn't go off into the 100 characters range, because we should try to keep our lines in and around, like, inside of 80 characters, and when they're getting outside of 80 they're getting pretty long, so if we can shorten them, that's the thing to do. The other thing that I've done is I've added in the dialogue if a write fails. So this dialogue, well, geez, I wouldn't even know how to test it. So to put that in place, what I actually did was I built it from an open failed dialog. So first I made an open failed dialog, and these are very simple. Just this little bit, and we use a default button setup, just buttons okay. We don't have to put any names for the buttons or any actions. A message pops up, you press OK, and it's destroyed, and that's pretty much as simple as that is. So I got the one for the open file in place because I could just open a PNG to get this to be able to see that this warning message is displaying, and then I just copied it up for a write error message and changed it so that to reflect the different kind of variable that would get passed to this, because that would be the constant char address that would get passed up to that. So yeah, that would actually be right here, and because I've put in the address variable, write failed can actually be shortened up to just pass in address from this point, and that should work just fine like this now, which we can confirm, and we'll actually have a look at the function of the application at this point. So we'll just compile that with the change. So now we start off with unsaved document. We can open a number of tabs. Let's say we have text in this tab, and we decide to close the application. So we want to quit the application because close is just close a tab. It will start closing the tabs until it gets to the unsaved document. Query about the unsaved document. Oh well, we don't want to keep that. And then it'll shut down. Yeah, there's the close button. We didn't have that working. We already had new open. We just got save and save as working in the last video. Close. The function has been there all along. I just needed to add it into the button click so that we could tell the button was clicked. And then there's the quit. So the other instance of quit is from the X on the window, and the X on the window is a special case and going to be more or less the topic of the video when we get down there. So it will function the same way, and if we cancel, all of the other tabs will close except for the unsaved tab. So that would leave us with the unsaved document open, and the same thing can be done from here. So if we cancel, the application should stay open. Oh, well, we might as well do the pop-up dialog as well. So to get the pop-up dialog for a failed open, we'd try to open something like a PNG, could not open file. And yeah, that's pretty simple. And hopefully we'll never see the write failed dialog, but it's in place in that event. So let's see. That gets us going all the way down to the buttons. So in here there's a couple of functions, and we're actually going to look at changing them, and because they're actually the same function, which is not something that we want, but I put it in that way kind of just getting things working because it was difficult to get things working. So here's our buttons. I've added in the close and the quit buttons, and the quit button is a special case. So what it does is it calls a function to delete the tabs, and if that function returns false, it will quit the application. Now that function is up here, delete tabs, and yeah, it's up here again as delete event. The reason for that has to do with the X. Now, when we press the X, what I wrongly thought happened was that the signal goes up to whatever function we put GTK main quit into, and GTK main causes the window to close. But GTK main doesn't cause the window to close. The window is destroyed, and then GTK main quits the application, like it quits the running process. So delete event, this is kind of a non-optional name for this function, is a function that needs to return a Boolean. So when I press the X, what's going to happen is a change to the way the signals were working before. So in the destroy signal, we were sending this to window close and window, or close window, and close window would call GTK main quit, which I thought closed the window, right? So it turns out that's wrong, and GTK main quit does not destroy the window. The window manager was doing that, as I understand. That's as near as I can figure. So now we have the second event, second signal, which is placed before the destroy signal, and it's called delete event. It calls the delete event function. Now, when the delete event function is called, this signal will wait for a return value from delete event of false. So if it receives a false, it will destroy and GTK main quit will happen. So it all breaks down to this function. And I guess it's a way to intercept the actual quitting of a function, because if I was to change this document, press the X, the window wouldn't disappear. The window would stay there. I would get queried, and depending on my response, the window would quit. Without delete event, the window would be destroyed, but as I was going through closing up unsaved tabs and stopping on a save tab, the only thing that would be left is the pop-up to say, oh, there's an unsaved tab. So this is necessary to hold the window open until it goes through its tabs, queries for unsaved tabs, displays the unsaved tabs as that's happening. So the reason why I ended up with two functions, and we're going to look at changing that now, is that I attempted to call delete event on this button quit, but no matter what the return value from delete event, it ended up quitting the application. And I don't know why that is. Perhaps because when delete event runs and the value comes here, instead of going by intercepting the value of true, which would keep the window open, causes the signal down here to interpret a false. So delete event can't be called by anything other than this signal, because it causes it to wait for a true or a false and then run GTK main quit. So if I called delete event from here, I use the close button. No matter what button I press, the window's going to close, whether this ran or not. The one down in the signals will, because something about this function is special. Now, to fix the problem with the window always closing as a result of using the menu quit button, I just duplicated the two functions. But I believe that what I could do instead of doing that, and I thought of this well, a little while ago. Oops, that's the wrong way. So let's try just commenting this out properly. We're going to comment this out. And when delete event is called, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return delete tabs. Because we don't want to have the same function written twice if we don't have to. So delete tabs has no values, so we just do that. And let's give this a run and see if that works out. Sort of a way of ending around having the function in the two places, but still getting delete event to return a value, and to have the other button not have to call delete event to do these things. So hopefully that kind of end around will work to get the two buttons working together. So let's just try that out and see how that works. So we'll compile that. Okay, So that is an implicit declaration because it doesn't know what delete tabs is. So we'll cut this out of here and we'll put it underneath, or hopefully this will work here. So we'll compile that and see if we get the proper action from that. So we'll add in some tabs. We'll do some stuff. We'll close this up. So we got our things going. We'll cancel. It leaves us with the one unsaved tab. Let's discard that and we'll repeat the experiment with the quit button. So we'll quit. It leaves us at the unsaved document. We'll cancel. It leaves us with the unsaved document and the window open. So that gets us around having the function twice, and we can just have it call the other function. So hopefully that makes it clear for the delete event, and what it does is it's intercepting the destroy function of the window, because it's not what happens. That's not the result of GTK main quit. Now when we call GTK main quit here, it destroys the window, right? But it's destroyed because it's canceling the application. It's actually risen the thought in my head, if in a function like this, I should actually be destroying the window before I GTK main quit. And if this is actually in a way kind of an improper way of closing the window, because the function of the program is to destroy the window and wait for main quit to actually stop. So that's sort of the proper flow. So yeah, that's one I'll be, well, I haven't seen any comments like that, so I'm assuming that this is alright the way that it is. So we'll look at the delete tabs function, because this is the function that's making things work. So all that this is doing is it's getting the number of pages. So if we have 6 pages open, it will come back with 6 pages. If there's more than 0 pages, it's going to iterate through the pages looking for unsaved ones. So we declare a variable for the for loop. We make it equal limit, and if I, well, while I is greater than 0, I will decrease or decrement. I think that's the right word. It will set the current page to the value of I minus 1, and that's the one off because we're going down the page, which would result in a 1 off, because if there's 6 tabs open, there's index 0 through 5. So we need to close page numbers 0 to 5 to close 6 tabs. And this seems to be functioning. I don't think I have a one-off mistake there, but I can't be sure. So we set the current page. That's what makes it so the unsaved document ends up in front, even if we were in a behind tab. So that when it queries unsaved document, the document that's unsaved is showing. And also it facilitates closed tab because we're sending null values, because closed tab was built beginning at the X and receives the values that it needs to receive from the tab to be able to identify the tab. So we close tab with the null values. Then it escapes the loop after it's iterated through the number of tabs. It will test the limit again to decide was there pages left open. Because if there was pages left open, it means that cancel was clicked. So if cancel was clicked, it will return true. True means that the window stays open. So when true returns from delete event and goes and hits the destroy signal, um, the destroy and GTK quit does not happen. And if it's not greater than 0, it will free the memory, because we had free book up in close window before. It will return false and GTK main quit will happen. So that's how that function works. Then we already covered routing this function through that function to kind of a little bit of tomfoolery, just to make the return value come from this to go to the signal, but avoid confusing the signal by calling it here. And that would be it. There's no more changes to the script. That covers everything. So hopefully those explanations are clear. That's the changes to the buttons. These are the two functions that close the application properly. They close tabs from this side down. And the reason it has to close from this side down is if it went upwards, tab number 6 would become tab number 4, tab number 5, tab number 4, tab number 3. Because as we destroy a tab, they take on new numbers. If I add in 3 tabs, I take out tab number 1, tab number 4 becomes tab number 3. So if we don't delete from the back end, our book no longer matches with the tabs that are in the notebook. So by book, I mean the data structure that we ended up calling book. So we create a image of what the pages are doing, and when it comes to deleting pages, we kind of have to organize what we're deleting, and that seemed like the best way to do it on a closing the application scenario, to make it the most simple that it could be. So yeah, that was it for the changes. I kind of like the way that this has worked out. Adding in new buttons was as easy as typing a couple of words and changing a value here. And when we run the application, we right away have new buttons with no muss and no fuss, and actually made it pretty easy to add in new buttons that way. So that's it for this video. I guess the next thing I'm looking at is cut, copy, and paste. And yeah, I really have no ideas for undo and redo yet. Those are actually a little bit difficult. So I'm going to try to figure out the clipboard and get copy and paste, and hopefully be able to figure out in a way that works out good. I already know that I can paste into a window. So yeah, in a way, paste always is kind of there, because it isn't very difficult to paste into a document. So in a way, there's already some clipboard function. And yeah, the idea is being able to cut from here or copy from here and then paste to here without anything in the system clipboard, because I'm not really sure how this clipboard, the GTK clipboard, and the system clipboard and this clipboard, I'm not really sure how those work together yet, so that's going to take a little bit of reading up on to even understand how that works. So that's what I'll be moving into, is trying to figure out the clipboard and how to do cut, copy, and paste into and out of the document and things like that to get things working the way that they should work. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful and clear, and until the next video, take care.